Hello, I'm Joseph and welcome to the Winterwind Productions YouTube channel. Now, since this is Winterwind's first real video, it's only appropriate that I go into the history of Winterwind. And if I'm going to delve into the history, I may as well start with the name. And the name actually stems from my relatively geeky adolescence. As you can probably tell, I'm a Star Trek fan. And throughout high school and into my early 20s, I also played a game called Dungeons & Dragons. And if you know anything about D&D, you'll know that everybody that plays it is a rampaging Satanist that sacrifices virgins. The only problem with that is, if you were geeky enough to play D&D in high school, there's a pretty good chance you didn't have a lot of girls coming around, virgin or otherwise. So my friends and I just focused on having fun, eating Cheetos, and trying not to get Cheeto goop on our character sheets or our dice. Now, the last character I ever played I called Del of Winterwind. He was a wild elf ranger, and I took the first name from an episode of the original Star Trek, and the last name was simply one of those seasonal nature-based names a lot of elven characters seem to have. Now, a few years later, when I was a serious musician and writer, and I wanted to set up a website and register a business name, I just drew from my geeky adolescence. Plus, I was born in the winter. It's one of my 4 favorite seasons, so Winterwind seemed to be a good fit. Now, as far as the productions part of the name, when I initially registered the domain, I wanted just winterwind.com. Unfortunately, that was taken, so I started thinking, well, what am I going to call it? Is it Winterwind Music? Is it Winterwind Entertainment? My interests were fairly diverse. I was a musician and a songwriter. I also wanted to do some sketch comedy, maybe some short dramatic films, and some freelance journalism as well. So productions just seemed to be the best fit. Now, around the same time, in the early 2000s, while I wasn't an avid gamer, I did enjoy some computer gaming. My favorite company, my favorite developer was Black Isle Studios. Now, I'm not going to delve too much into the history of Black Isle Studios. They are unfortunately no longer around. But at the time, I was actually a super moderator on the Black Isle forums. I always thought it was a silly title. Super moderator made me feel like I should have a cape and wear my underwear on the outside of my clothes. And I would have preferred the title senior moderator, but regardless, I was friends with a lot of the members of the mod team. We were actually all writers or artists of one sort or another. And around this time, the parent company Interplay had decided to close the division, shut down the forums, and a lot of us moderators had become friends. And we were thinking, well, what are we going to do? We need a new online home. Now, I had just recently launched the website, and one of my fellow moderators, an old friend, Kevin Hill, had his own message board, so we simply combined the two, and that's basically how Winterwind was born in the early 2000s. Now, as I mentioned, a lot of the modern team were writers or artists or musicians, and so we started collaborating on some different projects. Now, the initial focus was game-based. Considering where we came from, that made sense. We did some interviews with some developers. We did a 2-part interview with Chris Avalon. We did an interview with a developer named Damien Folletto, who actually wrote some guest columns for us for a while. And about the same time, my writing partner was a fellow named Matthias, and he and I wanted to do something a little different in addition to the regular website. So we came up with the idea of doing a quarterly e-zine, which I called the Winterwind Papers. Now, the intent was to do it on a quarterly basis and to have 5 pieces per issue. There would always be an artist profile, a visual artist, an original short story fiction piece, a feature article, which could be an opinion column or an interview, and 2 supporting guest columns. Now, the unfortunate thing with an international labor of love is sometimes things don't work out the way you want. We had some great talent, we had some great artists and great writers, but occasionally it would happen, I would make an announcement, we have this and that coming in the next issue, and unfortunately this and that didn't arrive, so I was left scrambling trying to put something together. We got a little more stability again. Matthias introduced me to a very talented writer and graphic artist named Lena, who wrote a series of short stories for us and took on the lion's share of the background work, because the original website was simply text-based. There was a logo at the top of the page, everything else was text. But we wanted the e-zine to be special and different. Now, I am not a graphic artist. I would play around with Photoshop. I'd play with some brushes and try and make some background images or illustrate an article with some, free images I found on different free websites like Stock Exchange, whatever it was called. But after a pretty good 10-year run from 2003 until 2013, it just started to become more of a source of frustration than a source of fun. So I decided to put the website on hiatus. And for the next 5 years, I continued to pay the annual hosting. I would continue to renew the domain name, but the website just sat there. And about a year ago, last December, I decided to, shake the dust off and do something with Winterwind again. And here we are. Times have changed in the last 15, 16 years, and I'd always wanted to do some video work, which was never really practical previously with a team that was scattered around the globe. So I've decided now to tighten the focus a little bit. The focus of Winterwind will be some original music of mine, maybe some little comedy bits here and there, and I also want to touch on some serious social issues, things that I care about, things like homelessness, which is a major issue here in my city, poverty, income equality, and I'd like to try and touch on the social issues without delving too much into politics because, to be blunt, politics and 99% of politicians just, well, they piss me off, and I think that actually makes me a pretty average person. But in the end, now you know a bit about Winterwind's history, now you know a bit about what I would like to do with this channel moving forward. I think at this point it's pretty standard to say, please like this video, please subscribe to the channel, because I do have some good plans, and also if you're in the London area and you would like to contribute, feel free to reach out and drop me a line. I'm always looking for people to collaborate. So thank you for watching. Have a great day.